Hello all. Today we have with us Raaji Naveen. She's an educationist. She's the co-founder of Beyond8 and HLC schools. Hello Raaji. So nice having you here. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much, Vani. Lovely being here too.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Before we begin anything, right, I wanted to understand where this entire journey of you with education per se began. What is the origin story of this?
Okay, so to begin with the origin, I'll begin with me. I am a person who has the emotion of Chennai, the fighting spirit of the Chawls of Mumbai,
Wow.
and the cool attitude of New York. So, I think that these are the three cities that I've been in for a large part of my life, and I embody many of the things that these cities, talk about. I think my journey with education started right from when I was in grade 8.
Okay.
I had to support my family's income, and I used to take tuitions for many of my peers and also, 6th and 7th graders to supplement the family's income. I think it started then, and I think it continued well into my engineering days when I would learn from my peers and teach them too. And I think learning has been a very, very integral part of my my journey in education. I also remember the days when, I wouldn't have money for books, but I used to love reading. And I don't know if you know of these kabadwalas or the kailangada in Tamil, right? So in those days, you could go to the kabadwala store and you will get books in Hindi, Marathi, Tamil, English, Gujarati, all of that. And I could borrow a book for 1 rupee, but the guy would say that if you can read it within 1 hour, then you can just pay me 50 paise. So I would just stand there and then read the book and give it back, and I would have read 2 books in 1 hour. And I think at some point I moved from English to Hindi to Marathi to Tamil books, and I think my journey of education started from there.
That's some negotiation skills with the kabadwala and you as well, right? He got his money, you got your knowledge.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And something with the number 8 for you, grade 8, beyond 8, right? There's a lot of connect.
I didn't see that connection until you called out, Vani, but I think it has become a special number in our lives, both for Naveen, who is the co-conspirator of everything that I do right now. 8 is a special number, let's call it that.
You've turned the tides on 8. Usually 8 is a scared number, at least in Indian circles, I think.
Numerology, I'm number 4. Naveen is number 4. We got married on 13th, which is a number
again,
4.
Again.
So, and we consider 13 as our lucky number.
Wonderful.
So I think we have turned the tides on it. We think that it's infinity. You flip it this way and it becomes special.
Right. Coming to Beyond 8, right? Beyond 8 is a wonderful place that I've been quite a few times. And you deal with people who are in grades 9, 10, 11, 12, right? Rebellious years of one's lifetime. I'm sure you also crossed that. How do you manage these kids and their aspirations? And it's not a typical, 8-period schoolroom or classroom. You got to cater to these kids' aspirations and what they intend to do, right? And so what is the mindset with which you approach them, and what have you learned in the process of ensuring these guys are set up for their success here?
So I think I relate to the teenage years as the years filled with a lot of anger. When I was a teenager, I used to be angry with everything. I used to be, I think, angry with competition, with the education system, with my neighbor, with my friend, with my peers, my parents. I just remember it as a period of a lot of anger, but I think it was also because of the anger emerging from seeing no meaning in the things that I saw around myself.
Right.
I didn't see meaning in the way the education was happening. I didn't see meaning in the inequalities that existed. I didn't see meaning in the way girls were treated. I didn't see, meaning in the way the poor had to just battle it out every day. It was not about hard work, but it was all about privileges and where you were born.
Right.
having those, but at the same time, I also remember benefiting from some beautiful experiences, right? My dad would call me Raja Beta, instilling that sense of fearlessness in me. My mom will constantly drill the fact. She will say that there are these Astu Devatas on your shoulders, no matter what you say. If you say Tathastu, it will happen. So only speak positive things. So I think, and my grandmother, who was, a huge role model all my growing up years. So I think I had the influence of these wonderful people around me that helped me rein in that anger and still, be fearless, be calm. And I think it is that kind of approach that Naveen and I also have for children in Beyond 8. We know that when you listen to a learner's voice, when you listen to the child's voice, when you acknowledge their needs, when you support them, you encourage them, they walk the journey with you. They are no longer fighting. They are, instead of fighting against you because you have not heard them, they walk that journey with you and they fight with you for themselves.
Right.
So we see that transformation. We see that children coming from different passions and different backgrounds who have been inhibited in a system where they have generally been told, you can do better, or why don't you do this, why don't you do that. Nobody really asks them, what would you like to do? So the journey in Beyond 8 starts with what would you want for yourself. And it also goes with the fundamental, I think, construct that any person wants to do well by themselves. Nobody doesn't. There is no person you will find who doesn't want to do well by themselves, right? And I think acknowledging that, supporting them in that journey is something that I see in the teenagers. I see that anger in me, which was scaffolded with a sense of fearlessness, a sense of purpose, a sense of inspiration that I found, and I see that working for the teenagers today too. I think. Those are the three main things I would talk about.
Wonderful. You spoke about your parents, your grandmother. Then you got married into a family of educators, right? How did that happen, and what was was there a shift in mindset because you're already thinking about education and stuff like that? How did that add value in your life? I'm sure it did.
I think until then, I was also, before marriage, I was a prey to the things that were around me. So I was competitive. And then I just see this family. They are a family, who believe in theosophy. Naveen is a person who was a competitive swimmer. But at the same time, he is talking about, how if we both were the same, how can we live life just being same? It is the differences that we have to appreciate in each other. And Maheshappa and Sudama, they're all saying, you're the daughter of the family. And they are running this institution, which is a Head Start Learning Center, Head Start, where they are talking about happiness, and Sudama is talking about inclusion. Complete transformation. I didn't think these words, I don't think I knew the word inclusion, or I didn't think that schools will be actually places where children can be happy until that point. So, and also with respect to relationships, how do you treat each other? How do you welcome a person into the family? Huge amount of gratitude, I think, I have for that transformative moment, which, for many people, it is something else. For me, it was marrying into this beautiful family of educationists.
Wonderful. So let's talk about HLC and Beyond 8. How did you get started on these two schools the way that I'm sure they existed even before, right?
Yeah.
And then once you came back from New York, there was a whole different journey that you guys took into it.
I think New York was one of the best times for Naveen and me. We would just, every Friday head out without knowing where we were heading out. Just long drives, going to locations that we didn't know about. And I think our life has sort of taken that path as well. We generally don't know where we are heading, but no matter where we are going, we are heading with purpose, with lot of sense of direction and enthusiasm and excitement. It was a 1 hour conversation between Naveen, myself, and Naveen's brother and his wife. We said, okay, we'll go back to India. And that's about it. We came back to India, mainly, of course, to be with our parents. And Naveen and I dreamt of starting a coffee shop.
Wow.
In which we will play the music that we want. Pink Floyd and all of them will be there to, entertain us. And we thought that we will start a coffee shop. But I think our journey started with opening the gates of Head Start School. This is the school that was started by Sudha Mahesh and my father-in-law Maheshwaran. And they both started this school, Head Start, as a nursery school, started very small, but started with a very big vision. The vision was of happy children, happy learning, inclusion. And we started opening the gates. We would be substitution teachers. I was also parallelly volunteering with Ability Foundation. Ability Foundation worked with people with disabilities and worked with, placing them in jobs and work environments. So I was having these two beautiful, experiences of seeing children with disabilities being included in the school that we ran, and also in Ability Foundation, seeing how it happens, how do they really get to join the workforce and all of that. So Naveen and I, at that point, I think the best blessing we had was that we didn't know education. While we may have learnt in school, Naveen will say he never learnt in school. He will say that he just chuttified and had too much fun. And for me, I was just busy cramming for examinations, trying to see how I can top this examination or the university at that time. So it was a beautiful moment of learning for us, in which we started learning, questioning curiously, not with an activism based attitude, but with curiosity. Why blackboards? Why benches? Why uniforms? Why PTMs? Why why exhibitions? So these were very curious questions that led us to do a lot of learning and courses, and built one by one. Each question would be an experiment.
Absolutely.
And a successful experiment would be the innovation. So our experiments are aplenty. The graveyards of all those experiments are many, but I think some of the very beautiful innovations that emerged from there, HLC itself being the social incubation center. So we called it the social incubation center because it was the space where we were experimenting. Last 20 years we have been doing that day in and day out, and out of those experiments emerged Elena for inclusion, Kartavyam for public problem solving, Militva for social entrepreneurship, Beyond8, a completely different idea of schooling itself, an alternative to schooling based on the principles of pedagogy, and of course Cognify, which stayed an experiment, didn't become an innovation. We talked about AI in 2013. I think we were just too ahead of time. People didn't understand us. They said, how can different people get different tests? Today you will say, why would two people get the same
test,
and at that time the question was, why would two people get something different? And I guess we were ahead of time, but that was an AI based innovation that would work on closing learning gaps in learners. So I think it has been a very meandering journey of learning, and it has also been possible because both of us bring such unique skill sets, unique thought processes, same purpose but different thought processes, and that has led to HLC and Beyond8 being where.
Wonderful story, Raaji. Just to understand pedagogy, what does it actually mean, and how different is it from the curriculum that we are all so used to?
So, pedagogy is something that I realized after doing what we did. We realized, adukku oru per irukka.
Okay.
So, it was posthumously that we realized there is a name for what we are doing. We kept saying that, Naveen and I, and also be it the teachers of HLC or Beyond8, we were looking at how can we listen to the learner's voice and how can we put them in charge of their journey.
More learner-centric than curriculum-centric. Is that how?
Superb. You gave me a very beautiful opportunity to really cut that point. Learner-centric, the way we look at it is, put the child in the center and squish them from all the sides.
Okay.
For us, it is learner-determined, which means putting the learner in charge of learning.
Okay.
So I will say child-centric. Child-centric is more about, being affectionate, kanne maniye, ponmane tene, taking care of the child. But when you say learner determined, you're actually being very deliberate about, trying to carve out a path that the learner enjoys and wants to do well in, wants to be measured in, right? So, we have a child who is superb in designing, and if we were to measure her on the way she can speak, that is not going to do justice to her. So how do we measure her on the things that she wants to be measured? At the same time, once we have determined what the learner wants to do, uphold them to the highest levels of excellence, defined by them, their capabilities, and their choices. experiences. So utagogy is learner determined, where you listen to the learner's voice and provide and we realized that the design we had made, Naveen and I, when we made the program design for Beyond8, we realized that all of those aspects that we had designed were actually coming under this word called utagogy, which was designed by Dr. Stuart Hayes in Australia. So it had mentoring, learning how to learn, experiences beyond your books. So a lot of industry visits, expert interactions, and purposeful college pathways. But at the same time, apart from utagogy being something that is learner determined, we believe that Beyond8 is very uniquely liberal in its own way. We are India's first hybrid learning ecosystem. We are India's first learner determined learning space. So it is a very beautiful culmination of all our experiments until now in education, taking the essence from our own learnings, our own mistakes, and here it is, Beyond8.
Let's do an activity, Raji, with our own book. So I'm going to give you the Journey with the Devis book, and I want you to tell me which is a Devi that you relate to the best.
Lovely, would love to. Okay, while I'm very naturally, you remember
Drawn
the anger and the and
Drawn
the,
towards Kalaratri
and the
like a lot of
fears.
us.
So Kalaratri, obviously, I'm drawn towards it. But I think I would just like to say one thing. While I was angry then, and then there was a part when I was very guilty, because I would think that I was in the chawls and now here I am. I've left so many people behind. So that guilt used to be a part, but now I have rephrased that for myself. It's from anger to action and from guilt to gratitude.
Wonderful.
So I would choose peace and enlightenment. So Siddhidatri, Siddhidatri, who is seated on a lotus. Lotus, my official name is Padma, and Padma means lotus.
Okay.
So grants wisdom and spiritual enlightenment to her devotees. I relate to her a lot, and I think I have been blessed by Siddhidatri's, blessings.
Absolutely.
Very
That
beautiful book,
wonderful.
Vani. I don't
Thank you
think
so much.
I knew about all of these
This
names,
side of-
and it's a moment of learning for me. Thanks to you.
Absolutely. Moment of learning for me when I was doing this journey with the Devis as well. So thanks a lot. That was lovely. I didn't know your name was Padma as well. So that's a bit about you that I learned today. So with that, Raji, just before we wrap up, what does Navratri mean to you?
I think celebration of good over evil. Very cliched, Vani. I'm so sorry. But then that is what it is, right?
Right, I know.
I think celebration of good over evil and woman power. Women
Absolutely.
power, women empowerment, and the fact that Durga embodies Shiva, Brahma, and Vishnu, and all of the gods, and that she is supreme power. I think it calls out to me the unbridled power that we hold within ourselves, and that shining a little bit of it outside doesn't do too much harm.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
let's just use that for the good, all of the powers that we have, and that's what Navratri symbolizes for me.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Raji. And I would love to give you this as a token of our love and gratitude from Aarla. That's our book and the tour that we had done for this year's Navratri. It symbolizes the 9 forms of the Devi.
I think I've seen Aarla right from the beginning,
yeah,
Vani, and it is so beautiful to see
you.
the
Thanks a
journey
lot.
of Aarla, and it's a very special occasion for me to be a part of the growth of Aarla, and
Absolutely,
I hope
absolutely.
that it
Thanks a
grows
lot.
and touches many more lives.
Thanks a lot for the wishes, Raji, and a very happy Navratri to all of you at Beyond8 and HLC families as well.
Thank you
Thanks
so
a lot.
much. Thanks a lot.